And welcome to another edition of Anthony and Ari Unfiltered, a weekly radio show with former Congressman Anthony Esposito and Inspector General, Department of Labor, in conversation with Assemblyman Ari Brown on the hot button issues of the day. Here now are your hosts.
Thanks, Evan. That's right. Welcome to the Anthony and Ari Unfiltered show. This is an extremely special day. We have famed TV personality Emily Austin with us, and we just got some unbelievable great news. Our congressman just got his nomination for Inspector General was moved out of committee to the Senate. Nomination from President Trump. Trump loves this guy, and who doesn't love this guy? It's really a remarkable day, not just because we have these wonderful people here who the country absolutely adores, but what's happening now in Israel. Mm-hmm. President Trump has created a situation like we couldn't believe after thousands of years. Emily, you're one of the greatest supporters of the Jewish people. You're a great Jew, but besides that, you're so entrenched and involved in what's going on in today's politics. Please share your opinion about what's going on, what happened with President Trump and with Netanyahu.
I promised myself I wouldn't politicize something such good news, but I took it back. On my way here, I was thinking, imagine Kamala was our president and we had to be in a situation to bring hostages back. And she was just cackling her way through meetings with the Sheikh of Qatar and the Emir. And I mean, they probably wouldn't even have met with her to begin with, but imagine her in these rooms. Israel would be screwed. America would be damned. And that's just something that made me so grateful on a serious note that Trump did win, because it's not just a matter of politics. It's literally life or death for some people.
Yeah. And what about all the individuals on the other side of the aisle, all of those people who just, have Trump derangement syndrome, who, mock us when we talk about peace through strength. If this doesn't show peace through strength, I'm not sure what will, because what we had for 4 years under Joe Biden is appeasement. And appeasement does not lead to peace. What appeasement leads to is more terror and more people taking advantage of the United States of America. So thank God that President Trump is our commander in chief and that he's given people in his administration. And I think that we shouldn't sell short, and we should thank the work of Secretary Marco Rubio, because he has been phenomenal, in this process. And I think that photo from last night when they are at the round table about Antifa, and Marco Rubio leans into President Trump to whisper in his ear that we're close to a deal. I hope that is one of the pictures that hangs in both of their offices for a long time, because that right there is a piece of history. And, there's no question what we need to focus on now. I think the next few days are going to be turbulent. I'm concerned. Obviously, you can never trust Hamas. We can't trust them. We don't trust them. But I'm really hopeful that peace is, a step towards peace is in our future. And I think this is building on what President Trump started in his first term with our good friend, Ambassador Friedman, and the Abraham Accords. And I hope that this is the next step towards peace in the Middle East.
Couldn't have said it better. It's a matter of having a great team. Our congressman now is going to be our Inspector General. The president sees talent. That's why Emily's typically by his side. And now our congressman as Inspector General will be at our side. I wonder, Emily, what's going to happen with all of these protests and rallies that you see in the city against the Jewish people, should this go through, which it looks like it will go through? What will they be protesting if the Gazan people now have a place, a homeland, so to speak?
I'm happy you mentioned that. I have a very hot opinion on this. It's actually not that hot if you have common sense. I never believed these protests were about the Jewish people. I never believed they were about Israel. I think Israel is a step into the destruction of Western values. And these protesters, they don't only hate Israel. It's a given they hate Jews, but they hate America too. And now Trump and Rubio and many other people promised in the administration they would start mass deportations. It shouldn't be limited to illegal immigrants. If you have American citizens, nonetheless, who are committing treasonous acts, who are out there advocating for groups who promise to eradicate Western values and destroy America, why should they enjoy the benefits of being an American citizen, having their livelihood here, right here in New York, but they're going to go march the streets, they're going to vandalize property, they're going to advocate for terrorist groups? There was a chant yesterday, Ari, that said, "We will come back stronger than the first October 7th. Tell me that's not a threat. The man's face is all over the internet.
And who's supporting that? Yeah. Zohar Mamdani.
And Governor Hochul.
Oh my God, Governor Hochul is a disgusting, filthy human being. I never
Tell us what
personally,
you really think about.
I never personally attack politicians. I only attack policies. But when she does something as naive, ignorant, and dangerous, when the election is so close and you endorse a man who's going to make 10 9/11s happen under a state that already endured what a 9/11 was, how dumb can you be?
It's not only dumb, it's putting us in harm's way. And exactly what Kathy Hochul was doing with Zohar Mamdani is exactly what Chuck Schumer is doing with AOC. And as we see, it's growing throughout the country. I mean, we're talking about Israel right now. We're talking about anti-Semitism. And just to add on to that point, what happened to, or what are they going to do? What are all the protesters that called for a ceasefire going to do now that there's a ceasefire? They have nothing to yell about. They have nothing to yell about.
I think we're going to see a pause in the protesting when this thing is worked out. But if Mamdani gets in and Curtis doesn't get in, and I believe he has an unbelievable chance of getting in.
Who?
Curtis Sliwa.
Okay, can we stop gaslighting ourselves that he has any chance of winning? My lock screen is Donald Trump. I am MAGA. I'm a Republican. There's no black or white there. Like there's no gray area, excuse me, black or white. But Sliwa's not winning this.
I tell this
And he's
story,
an
Emily, all
amazing
the
guy,
time.
but we need to stop encouraging Republicans to vote for him. They need to vote for Cuomo. And it pains me to say that. I'm sorry. I like Cuomo doesn't have to be a great guy, but he's better than Mamdani.
And even with that, I still don't think Cuomo's going to win. Unfortunately, I think what we're faced with is a Mamdani administration.
Obviously, I'm a lot older than both of you put together. I remember in the early 90s, the same speech was given. My dad and I were building a medical office. And I said, look, your uncle Rosenbaum was killed. Dinkins was in office. 42nd Street was full of hookers and prostitutes and X-rated parlors. How could it ever change? It'll never change. And then Giuliani came in. The exact same thing, polled unbelievably bad, and it was a miracle. And it turned over the
From
city.
your lips to God's ears. I just think that New York City is a different place now with people that are engaged. And for some reason, they're engaged in the disastrous, communist, progressive, anti-Semitic policies that Zoran pushes. I mean, I just, and you have Democrats throughout, not just New York State, but even the country. Some of them are trying to distance themselves, but it's impossible.
Mhm.
He's become the face of the Democratic Party. I mean, just look at yesterday, my good friend Mike Lawler. I mean, he went toe to toe.
Yeah, he did a great job.
Toe to toe with Hakeem
Good job,
Jeffries, and Mike delivered the facts. And this morning, I was on with Sid Rosenberg, and we were talking about it, and I said, that's the thing that the Republicans are doing, and many people have criticized Speaker Mike Johnson, who's a dear friend, and everyone for at least before Trump got in office, and even the first couple of months, they always suggested that Mike Johnson, is he the leader that we need? And time again, he proved everyone wrong. He delivered the votes, he passed the bills, and look what he's doing now. I don't think,
And he's a great guy.
he's the best. But I honestly, there's no one out there, and there's a lot of great communicators in the Republican Party. I think that we are our ranks, thank God, in Congress and even in the Senate, there are great communicators that are able to deliver the message very on point. There is no one that's doing a better job than Mike Johnson right now. He is standing up there, he's delivering the facts,
In
and
the
he's
most eloquent way.
down all of the nonsense, and he's doing it calm, cool, and collected. And
Yeah.
Mike Lawler, they got a little heated yesterday, but Mike did the same thing. Hakeem, you're embarrassing yourself. The only person embarrassing himself is Hakeem Jeffries, because
Right.
the idea, and now just yesterday, just to rewind back to Long Island for a second, yesterday you have Laura Gillen, who I think is one of the lead hypocrites in this whole mess. But she's now touting the fact that she signed on to a bill that would give the federal government the ability to pay our brave men and women in the armed forces while there's a shutdown. Well, here's an idea. Don't vote to shut down the government. Then you don't need to support a bill to pay people. The idea that this CR was about healthcare is total horse crap. It has nothing to do. This is not the time. A CR is not the time to negotiate healthcare. This CR, and if you talk to conservatives throughout the country, many of them held their nose when they voted for the CR. Why? Because it's still the inflated, explosive Biden level spending. But they voted for it because we needed to continue on President Trump's path and give his administration the opportunity to negotiate next, not shut down the government. So anyone who says that it's anybody else's fault but the Democrats that our government is shut down is lying to you. And that's why we're continuing to do this. WNEW 102.7, WSNR 620 AM, Anthony and Ari Unfiltered. And of course, today we have Emily Austin. I mean, what better?
So let's drill down. We have a lot of Jewish listeners, tens of thousands of listeners, as New Yorkers, as Long Islanders, but as a Jew, where do we go from here when Mamdani gets in, based on what's happening in Gaza?
I'm not accepting that. Okay, hear my argument out with the mayor, with the election. Okay, here's my hot take. Mamdani hit his ceiling in terms of his momentum. He's had that from day one. I think his voters already showed up and showed out. That's when Cuomo decided to wake up and actually start a campaign. So in my opinion, because he's campaigning now, and I think all of the Mamdani voters already showed what they're capable of, we do have a chance to flip this. If Sliwa could put his ego aside, put your politics second, and just accept the fact that you're not going to win this race, let that momentum shift into Cuomo, who again is not the perfect candidate, far from it, but is still a better option than a man who will not condemn the phrase globalize the intifada.
Now, we love you, but I'm a big Curtis supporter. I know you do.
I think he's incredible.
I'm going to put my prayers and hopes and past historical knowledge based on Curtis.
Put your prayers and Sliwa, and
my
your
support will
Cuomo.
Always be with Curtis Sliwa.
I think he's an incredible man. And
we just have to find a path to victory. And I think really the sad part about all of this, and like we kid around, but this is serious, right? The sad part is the greatest city in the world has the choice between, think about it, who sucks less.
Yeah, a kid that never had the job. Like the kid that never had a job, a kid that in the assembly we had a shutdown is not on my dime bill to boycott anybody that supports Israel and the Jewish people.
Think about some of the mayors and the leaders that we've had in New York City. I mean, it's the greatest city in the world. We complain about it, right? We say there's crime ridden, but we still go there every opportunity we get. Why? Because it's our city. I mean, as someone who's worn the uniform, who's protected and served that great city, it's a shame.
Some of the worst neighborhoods.
It's a shame that we've gotten to the point now where we're giving the New York City, our New York City neighbors, what we're telling them, you have basically two choices: this guy who really sucks, and this guy who only sucks a little.
And that's why Curtis Sliwa should be our mayor. But
he should be, but he's not going to win.
Well, we shall see. Anyway, Inspector General, we got to jump into this just for 2 minutes. Give us a brief outline about what you're going to be doing as the Inspector General.
So President Trump has made it very clear that he wants to make his administration the golden age of the American worker. And unfortunately, over many years and Democrat administrations, President Trump really tried to take the step forward in his first administration, and then a lot of it was unraveled again by the Biden administration. And obviously, the open border policies has been a huge detriment to the labor in the United States of America. So the Inspector General is really a watchdog of the United States Labor Department, and it gives me the ability, that I think for a long time, the Inspector General's office, especially in the Department of Labor, but all the Inspector Generals for the cabinet secretaries, has focused more on the audit and the numbers. But this administration really wants to see sort of a 180 of that, and they want more criminal investigations, and let the auditors continue. And I think there's an opportunity here between child and human trafficking, between the exploitation of workers, between fraud and waste and abuse. There is so much opportunity for us to articulate criminal investigations that affect the American worker, and
no better person to do it than a decorated detective.
So I'm
loving this.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to hitting the ground running. I've committed in my Senate hearing to senators from across the country that I'm not going to, nor have I ever been someone who sits behind a desk. I mean, I'd have trouble sitting as long to do this show, to be honest with you. So I think that I'm going to, try to, hit the ground running and travel the country, visit the different regional offices so I can speak to the special agents that are in the streets and doing the work. for the American people and find out what can we do better? What are we doing well? How can we improve? And what do they need? What resources do they need to continue to do their job? And people say all the time, well, you know, the inspector general is supposed to be apolitical, and it is. I think that, you know, I wore a uniform for 16 years. I investigated crimes. I worked for mayors of the city of New York that, you know, I wouldn't let watch my dog. But nonetheless, I took an oath and I went out there and did the job, and it didn't matter. And that's
always been fair in that regard.
and that's the same case here. I pledged to the Senate that I will be an inspector general that will be fair and will be honest, and will not curry favor with anyone. But I think that the idea that President Trump wants to make America great again, the idea that President Trump wants to instill the golden age of the American worker across this country, that shouldn't be like, that term shouldn't be political. That should be what every American wants. So I believe in my heart that following out that mission of making this the golden age for the American worker and giving them the resources that they need to have fair wages, to be safe at work sites, to not be exploited, to hunt down and prosecute individuals who have trafficked women and children into this country. That is what I'm going to do. And I look forward to working with the men and women on the ground in every corner of this nation to do
You're
just
definitely the right man for this. Emily,
Manhattan needs you.
we know that our congressman, our new inspector general, has the ear of the president. We know you do too, in a different way. We see you on TV in many different capacities, speaking to the president. I love what President Trump is doing in Washington, now bringing troops into Chicago. Can you help push getting the troops, in whatever capacity, into New York City, making the suggestion, this is something that we want? I know he loves New York. He's a builder like me in New York. You think that'll happen in New York as we see in Chicago and in Washington, D.C., to clean up the city in that regard?
Yeah. If Mamdani wins, I don't think they'll have a choice. He wants to defund the police, which is a slap in the face to any hardworking American that cares about this country. My message to people who think defunding the police is a good idea is no problem, defund the police. If you ever are in a situation where you're getting robbed, raped, stabbed, attacked in any violent manner, call your therapist, because don't expect the cop to save you because you wanted to defund them. You disrespected them when they put their lives on the line and they are not paid enough to sacrifice themselves for the greater good of this country. And then people like Mamdani want to just defund them. So what are you going to do when the crime that's already prevalent in Manhattan gets 10 times worse? Does he believe that calling the psychiatrist to come speak to someone, hey, sir, please don't rape her. Please don't do that. It's not nice. Is he going to really listen to law enforcement?
Right.
They already don't. And now you're going to remove them from the streets.
Do you believe the president's going to send?
He has to. He's going to have to, because it's going to become a crime scene.
So just this morning, I was speaking to someone from the City of New York administration, and they're starting this pilot program that has been instituted not by the mayor, but the city council. And it actually is starting in the precinct that I worked in the 73rd precinct in Brownsville, Brooklyn, where they're making geographic areas. Now, I know this is going to sound like I'm lying and it's crazy, but it's the absolute truth.
You sure you're allowed to tell us this information?
To Emily's point, there's going to be no choice but to come into New York City. God forbid Zohran is elected. The city council is already creating geographical areas. One is set up in the 73rd precinct. I believe it's from Stone Avenue to just west of that, and then probably 3 blocks north to south, where police officers on duty in uniform are not allowed to enter this area unless there is a crime that's being committed, and they list them. And some crimes that you would expect are not even on there. The crimes that are listed are like shooting, homicide. So the cops aren't even allowed to walk the street.
Are they allowed to do that?
I mean, it's the city
So it's
council.
like a
Listen,
smoke-free area. It's a crime area.
At the state level, we see bills go up that are totally illegal.
Yeah.
And they say, man, sue us.
Exactly.
And that's how it is. It's the Wild West in New York. People don't realize how bad it is.
And I think this is the, if we're all comparing this to watching a movie, right? We just got our popcorn, we just got our drinks, we're sitting down to watch the movie. This is the coming attractions to a Zohran administration, that we're actually making, zones in the city of New York. And now I'm not talking about a nice community in a beautiful, expensive part of Manhattan or
Mhm.
Queens. I'm talking about probably the dangerous square mile, not only in the city of New York, but probably one of the top 10 dangerous square miles in the country. And you are telling us that you don't want police to enter this area? Like what they don't understand, and it's something that the story I try to tell all the time. There are good people that live there, that come out of their apartment buildings or come out of their homes, and they don't want to be caught in a crossfire.
That's why we saw the black and
of-
Latino vote moved up to the president.
gangbangers. They want to be kept safe, and I just don't understand. You know, to Emily's point, you know, you want to defund the police, but at the same time, you think that all crimes should be handled by social workers. Well, what would have happened just a couple of months ago when that cop was tragically killed while working off-duty employment in Midtown Manhattan? What would have happened if you would have sent social workers into that?
Well, they don't care. That's the thing. Zohar Mamdani and his like, and a lot of my colleagues who I see lined up with him could care less. You're listening to the Anthony Ari Unfiltered show on 102.7 FM. We're here with TV personality Emily Austin. Emily, let's switch back to another Jewish issue. The congressman and I have a mutual friend, Senator Alphonse D'Amato, who was really slapped in the face by the Jewish people in the 80s. Was it the 80s when Chuck Schumer was put into office?
Mhm.
Chuck Schumer calls himself the Shomer.
1998.
88.
98.
Who was a better friend than,
Yeah.
except for now President Trump and of course Emily, to the
Mhm.
Jewish people. This competition between AOC and Chuck Schumer, how do you see that going?
The competition between
Well,
them.
you think she's going to run for his seat?
You know, the problem is Kamala Harris set the precedent that anyone could run for president. She really
Well
did.
said. Well said.
So if Kamala Harris, and I tell this to people when I go to other countries that have more like law and order, and when we talk about the Trump Kamala election, everyone's response is, I can't believe those were your options. You know, they made it almost too easy for President Trump to win,
Yeah.
which is good for us.
Even with all the cheating.
But now in 4 years, Trump can't run again. So the bar is going to get
You never know.
lower. Well, I hope he can. I really hope he can.
But
we'll
I think
see.
what's important too is that I think, you know, we only have a few minutes to go, but I think what's important to Emily's point is when people say, well, you know, those were your two, you know, that was your choice. Well, President Trump is a leader and is doing an amazing job. I mean, he's in 263 days in office, and look at what he's reversed from the
Mhm.
Biden disaster. But
And I'm a huge Reagan fan, and I never saw anything
but
like
let's
this.
think about that whole process, right? If you talk to a Democrat, I mean, they kind of hold their nose and say, yeah, that was our choice. But Kamala Harris wasn't their choice. They never
Yeah.
even had an opportunity to choose. And that is why I believe that we're going to see over the next years, and it could affect a couple of presidential runs.
Mhm.
They created a disaster in the Democratic Party by not having an open primary when Biden
Mhm.
stepped away.
That was
Why?
good for us.
They would
because-
lose the funding.
Because they now have they haven't given anybody the ability to show themselves off nationwide. There's nobody on the bench. They like you think about it.
And Emily, that's the point. Do you think, though, that AOC is going to run for president
she will.
or for Senate?
No, I think she'll run as someone's VP, pull a little Harris stunt. I think she will not win at all, but it's a huge platform. Listen, I didn't know who Vivek Ramaswamy was till he ran for president. And I could speak to a lot of candidates who ran for president.
Well, I
I
bet
didn't really
you
know
knew
who
who
they
she
were.
was. Well, Emily was.
I literally told my parents in a joking manner, I said, I'm going to run for president because if Kamala made it that far, who's to say I can't? And the truth is that, like I said, she just set a bad precedent that anyone could do it. And to your point, Anthony, they don't have a bench.
Right.
So that's why I'm really not concerned. Throw up anybody you want. They have
But
no
they are building a base with
organization.
that monster Mamdani.
They are.
He's not the head of the party. They don't have a head. They know we have like.
But let's
order.
hope people think he's the head.
Great,
You
but the
know?
problem is people like them. People are Gen Z specifically. They're just anti-American. So whoever is going against American values, they actually appreciate them. They think communism is a good thing these days.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I don't know if this has something to do with your new role. Schools are failing the next generation. Kids don't even know what communism means. They think socialism is a good thing. I got called a fascist in Manhattan 2 days ago, and I told them, define me a fascist. Tell me what a fascist is. And this guy started stuttering and physically walked away from me. People just throw these terms, genocide, fascist, traitor.
It's the same group of people who, you know, we've addressed at places like Colombia, and you know, they're talking about Gaza and Palestine and Israel. If you gave them a dart and asked them to throw it at the Middle East,
No
they
clue.
wouldn't even know where it is.
They have no
And
idea.
that's actually what we're dealing with. But
So we will see Mamdanis as the heads of these parties. I bet you Jasmine Crockett's going to elevate to something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so.
But that's
Yeah.
the problem. Their bar is just very low.
It is. The bar is very low,
Yeah,
but
real
I
clown
think
show.
what we need to do here is make sure that we hold our locals accountable. We need to hold people like Tom Schwazi, like Laura Gillen, like Chuck Schumer,
And
like
our
Kirsten
school
Gillibrand,
boards.
and our
It's-
school
it's-
boards.
starts
We need to hold
right
them
down
accountable
there.
because there is so much that they campaigned on, and I'll focus on Gillen because 2026 is right around the corner. And I will tell you, mostly everything that she's campaigned on, she's voted the exact opposite. She was restoring SALT. She voted against
I don't know
SALT.
if President Trump's going to let you go so fast.
She voted.
Oh, I'm wrong.
She voted for the biggest tax increase in American history. She voted against protecting girls' sport. So this is
Wow.
why we need to continue to fight the fight. You're listening to Anthony Ari Unfiltered. Emily Austin, who was our special guest today. We hope we have her back real soon. Assemblyman Ari Brown, WNEW 102.7 FM and WSNR 620
This
AM.
was a hard show. I'm sitting next to the two best,
Are we still
looking
rolling? Because I
people.
had a gift for you guys.
Oh, no, we're rolling.
You won technically because I said whoever says Trump derangement syndrome gets an award. You said it. I'm giving this to the president soon. It's
I
a
love
Trump
it.
derangement syndrome. Find a cure pin.
And
Love
orange.
it.
This was Sinatra's favorite color, orange.
So it's
Thank you.
tdspin.shop. I started making these pins.
I love it.
want
What is-
every person
Oh,
with Trump derangement syndrome
I love this.
to
I'm
have
gonna
this
wear
pin on.
And I love the little
And you
hair
have
thing.
one.
I love
That's
it.
Trump's hair,
President's hair.
and it's real gold. Trump derangement syndrome pin. tdspin.shop.
Thank you, Emily.
I
And
love
thank
it.
you for joining
You
us.
won.
Thanks for joining us.
Second place.
I'm always going to be second place next to this guy.
No, never.
Thank you, Zeb. Thanks for putting this together.
Thank you. How awesome is this?
Great job, everybody. Great job.
I think I'm
Really
wearing
good.
this on